to a MAGA conservative movie. We're just trying to represent the values that Snow White is based in, the timeless values that we all loved growing up, that are sadly...
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
It's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
The classic tale of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has a unique place in the hearts of fans of all ages. But rather than sparking joy, Disney's recent announcement of a live-action rendition has sparked criticism. The Daily Wire, a company that is reportedly producing what they claim will be a more faithful adaptation of the original story, has drawn the attention of fans disillusioned by several of Disney's creative decisions. This move has reportedly infuriated Rachel Zegler, the actress cast as Snow White in Disney's version. From the start, fans were skeptical about Disney's direction for the remake. Diversity in casting is often seen as a positive step in modern filmmaking, prompting some fans to argue that this particular story, with its roots in European folklore, should remain true to its roots. However, the casting of Rachel Zegler, a Latina actress as Snow White, raised eyebrows, with some questioning why a character rooted in German folklore was being reimagined in this way. This decision has led to heated debates, particularly among those who feel the cultural authenticity of the fairy tale should be preserved. The debate did not end with the casting. With interviews, Rachel Zegler sparked controversy by criticizing the original 1937 animated picture, calling it eerie and stalkerish, particularly with reference to the relationship between Snow White and Prince Charming. Additionally, Zegler made hints that the live-action remake will have a more feminist perspective in place of the conventional true love's kiss plotline.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave.
The upcoming live-action remake of Snow White by Disney has sparked mixed reactions from fans, with opinions sharply divided over the modern twists being introduced to the classic fairy tale. While some viewers were excited to see a fresh take on the beloved story, others felt the changes strayed too far from the charm of the original. This isn't Snow White anymore, it's just a different movie using the name. One fan commented bluntly, echoing the concerns of many who believe the essence of the iconic tale was being lost. This sentiment has gained significant traction, as fans who hold the story close to their hearts argue that the core of the fairy tale, which has stood the test of time, is being diluted. One of the most controversial changes Disney announced was replacing the Seven Dwarfs with magical creatures, a decision that further fanned the flames of discontent. For many longtime fans, the dwarfs aren't just side characters, they are integral to the heart of the story. They offer much more than comic relief, serving as emotional pillars and bringing warmth to the narrative. Their unique personalities and roles have made them just as beloved as Snow White herself. This alteration, viewed by many as unnecessary, felt like a step too far for those who treasure the story's original charm. Social media quickly became a battleground for opinions, with critics accusing Disney of prioritizing political correctness over staying true to the original source material. The backlash was swift and intense, with many feeling that Disney was attempting to modernize the film in ways that strayed from the essence of what made Snow White a timeless classic. Comments flooded in from disappointed fans, some expressing that changes like this undermined the spirit of the fairy tale that had been passed down through generations. Why mess with perfection? Was a recurring sentiment, with fans lamenting that the film they loved was being overhauled to fit contemporary sensibilities. The pushback was so fierce that Disney was forced to take a step back and reconsider its decisions. In response to the overwhelming criticism, the studio announced that it would delay the film's release, allowing time for revisions. One of the key changes being reconsidered was the decision to bring back the Seven Dwarfs, which many saw as a win for fans who had been vocal in their opposition. However, the revised dwarfs were now rendered using modern CGI techniques, leading to further discussions about whether this new version could recapture the magic of the original characters. While some welcomed Disney's decision to rethink the portrayal of the dwarfs, others remained skeptical. Fans wondered if these new, digitally rendered characters would maintain the same level of emotional connection and endearment that the original, hand-drawn dwarfs provided. There was concern that relying heavily on CGI might strip away the authenticity and warmth that made the Seven Dwarfs so memorable. To many, this was about preserving the story's soul, not just aesthetics. This modern approach to retelling Snow White is emblematic of a larger trend in Hollywood, where studios often revamp classics to appeal to newer audiences while attempting to balance nostalgia for longtime fans. However, with these decisions comes the challenge of staying true to the original material while introducing changes that reflect contemporary values. Many fans felt the balance was off in Snow White, with some changes appearing to prioritize modern trends over the timelessness of the story. The backlash against Disney's creative direction raises broader questions about the nature of remakes. Is it possible to introduce a modern twist while still maintaining the heart of a beloved classic? For fans of Snow White, the answer may lie in preserving the spirit of the original while carefully considering what updates truly serve the story. As Disney revisits its decisions and looks to make revisions, only time will tell if the final product will satisfy both new viewers and the loyal fanbase that cherishes the traditional elements of Snow White. Until then, the debate over how much a classic can be changed before losing its essence continues to rage. As full CGI characters did little to appease fans, the visual effects were criticized for their uncanny valley look, further disappointing those who felt that Disney had missed an opportunity to cast real actors with dwarfism. Many noted that several talented actors with dwarfism could have brought these roles to life, adding authenticity to the film. As the controversy, David Hand, the son of one of the original directors of Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, has added his voice to the growing debate surrounding Disney's live-action remake. And, who once worked for Disney himself, did not mince words when expressing his disappointment with the direction the new film is taking. He called the remake an insult to his father's legacy and accused Disney of undermining its own rich history in a misguided attempt to modernize a story that has captivated audiences for decades. His comments have resonated with many who feel that Disney's changes stray too far from what made the original film a timeless classic. Hand's critique taps into a larger controversy that has been building since Disney announced its live-action adaptation. Fans of the original 1937 animated film have expressed frustration with the new direction, particularly the significant changes being made to key elements of the story. For many, this is more than just a film, it's a cherished piece of their childhood, a cultural touchstone that has endured for nearly a century. As such, any alteration feels like a personal affront to the nostalgia and magic that the original Snow White embodies. One of the most contentious changes involves Disney's decision to replace the iconic Seven Dwarfs with magical creatures. This decision, intended to give the story a more modern twist, was seen by many as a step too far. The Seven Dwarfs are not just supporting characters, they are central to the heart and soul of the original tale. Their unique personalities and emotional connection to Snow White provide warmth and humor that balance the darker elements of the story. Critics argue that by removing them, Disney is erasing a key part of what made Snow White so beloved. The backlash from fans has been swift and intense. Social media has become a platform for airing grievances, with many accusing Disney of prioritizing political correctness over preserving the core elements of the fairy tale. Some believe that the company is more focused on aligning with contemporary values than staying true to the heart of the original story. The reaction has been so strong that Disney has reportedly delayed the film's release in response, promising to rework some aspects, including the decision to bring back the Seven Dwarfs. However, even this concession has done little to quell the concerns of many fans who fear the essence of the film may still be lost in translation. David Hand's comments add fuel to the fire, further highlighting the tension between honoring a classic and updating it for modern audiences. He argues that Disney has lost touch with what made the original Snow White so special and beloved. His perspective, coming from someone with a direct connection to the original film, carries weight and has reignited debates about the role of remakes in Hollywood today. Should classic films be modernized to fit contemporary values, or should they remain as faithful as possible to their original form? Amidst the controversy, an unexpected player has entered the scene. The Daily Wire, a company primarily known for its political commentary, has announced its own version of Snow White. In what appears to be a direct counter to Disney's approach, the Daily Wire is positioning its project as a faithful adaptation of the original fairy tale, free from the modern political themes that have sparked so much debate. The announcement has generated a significant amount of attention, with the company's goal being to capture the traditional essence of Snow White that many fans feel is missing from Disney's live-action remake. Brett Cooper, cast as Snow White in the Daily Wire's adaptation, has assured audiences that their version will remain true to the heart of the original story. Cooper and the creative team behind the project have expressed a desire to honor the classic fairy tale while steering clear of the modern updates that have caused so much controversy. The Daily Wire's move has been met with curiosity, especially from those who are frustrated with Disney's approach and are eager to see a version of Snow White that stays closer to the story they grew up with. Ultimately, the ongoing controversy surrounding Disney's live-action Snow White highlights the delicate balance between preserving a classic and reimagining it for today's audiences. While some appreciate Disney's efforts to update the tale for modern sensibilities, others, like David Hand, feel that the studio has lost touch with what made the original film a timeless favorite. Whether the Daily Wire's counterproduction will satisfy those yearning for a more traditional adaptation remains to be seen, but it's clear that the battle over the future of Snow White is far from over. The production team has assured viewers that this adaptation will remain faithful to the original, while providing an entertaining viewing experience for today's audience. They will preserve the essence of the classic story, while adding contemporary touches that do not overwhelm its main lesson. Fans reacted incredibly positively to the film's first teaser, expressing relief and excitement. People soon started comparing the two versions, and one remark captured the mood perfectly: if it comes down to Brett Cooper versus Rachel Zegler, then this is how it should be. Without a doubt, Brett Cooper wins. She had previously stated her wish to play Snow White, and fans loved how humble and appreciative she was for the part. This excitement contrasted sharply with the response Disney's film has received. Given the positive buzz surrounding the Daily Wire's project, some are even speculating that it might outperform Disney's version, a development that would certainly turn heads in Hollywood. The reactions to both trailers seem to reflect a growing preference among audiences for adaptations that respect the original material. Instead of changing it to suit contemporary trends, fans are hoping for a delicate balance in any adaptation of a classic tale, and if Brett Cooper's Snow White manages to outperform Disney, it will send a clear message to Hollywood audiences that they value faithful retellings of beloved classics. Brett has emphasized that while their version will still resonate with short-term viewers, it will not stray from the timeless themes of love, bravery, and innocence that made Snow White such a cherished story across generations. An obstacle Disney seems to be having trouble with: Rachel Zegler. In a number of interviews, Disney's Snow White has made statements that some fans felt rude, adding gasoline to the controversy surrounding the movie. Many people think that Rachel's words have contributed to the negative reception the film has received. One viewer even went so far as to say that Rachel Zegler is the one ruining this film, expressing the annoyance of many who are dissatisfied with the story's modifications as well as the casting. The extent of the backlash and the difficulties Disney faces in trying to modernize such a timeless and beloved story are demonstrated by some fans' demands that Disney take a step back and reevaluate its approach to the film. Fans are eager to see which version of Snow White will ultimately win over audiences. Will Disney's feminist retelling of the classic tale find a new fan base, or will the Daily Wire's faithful adaptation of the original fairy tale steal the show? Since both studios have released trailers, it is evident that one version is receiving far better reviews than the other. Still, more people are dissatisfied with the film's visual appeal than just the actors. The green screen and CGI effects since previous Snow White adaptations used real sets and effects that captured the beauty and magic of the fairy tale without compromising on authenticity. Critics argue that the new technology wasn't necessary. As a result, attention has shifted not just to the movies but to the stars behind them. Many say the live-action magic they wanted is more like Shrek. Peter Dinklage also played a controversial role. He openly advocated for changes that led to the dwarfs being replaced by CGI creatures, which frustrated fans even more. The Disney version star, Rachel Zegler, seems to be coming under further investigation. Fans have made it clear that Brett's video has garnered significantly more positive feedback, which has sparked criticism that Rachel isn't managing the competition effectively. Rachel allegedly became enraged when the Daily Wire announced its version, especially after Brett Cooper publicly commented on the controversy surrounding Rachel's portrayal of Snow White. Brett didn't shy away from sharing her views, explaining that her version of the story stays true to the original while modernizing in a way that respects audiences. Meanwhile, Rachel's adaptation continues. Even after the first glimpse of Disney's upcoming Snow White live-action movie was released, the controversy surrounding the film refused to die down. Reports have emerged claiming that Rachel Zegler, who stars as Snow White in Disney's version, allegedly made a dismissive remark about the rival Snow White project from the Daily Wire, which features Brett Cooper in the title role. According to one source, Rachel supposedly responded to Brett's trailer by saying, "My version is better." However, Rachel has not publicly addressed this rumor in any interviews or social media posts, perhaps as a strategic choice to avoid giving more attention to her competitor. This rumor has led many to speculate about Rachel's true feelings toward the Daily Wire's adaptation and whether she is genuinely bothered by Brett's rising success. While it remains unclear whether the comment was made, it has nonetheless stirred up more drama surrounding Disney's production. Fans and critics alike have started to question whether Rachel's reaction hints at frustration over the increasing praise Brett's version is receiving. True or not, Disney has remained silent about the competing film, likely in an effort to avoid drawing attention to the Daily Wire's project, which is already gaining traction with glowing feedback from audiences eager for a more traditional take on the story. Disney's decision to steer clear of any mention of Brett Cooper's film seems calculated. Because Snow White is one of the studio's most iconic properties, they likely don't want to give their competitor any additional publicity, especially at a time when their own live-action remake has been the subject of intense debate and backlash. The last thing Disney wants is to stoke the fire of controversy, particularly when the Daily Wire's version is already attracting positive buzz from those seeking a more faithful adaptation of the classic fairy tale. In an increasingly crowded media landscape, Disney can't afford to lose its core audience or be overshadowed by a rival project that appeals to fans disillusioned with their own approach. Meanwhile, some fans suspect that Rachel's frustration might also stem from the way the two actresses are being portrayed in the media. Rachel has faced significant backlash for her remarks about the original Snow White film and her character's modernized portrayal, which some critics argue diverges too much from the beloved classic. Her comments have sparked controversy, with detractors accusing her of disrespecting the original film and the role that made Snow White such an enduring figure in popular culture. In contrast, Brett Cooper has garnered admiration for her respectful approach to the story, which emphasizes the timeless qualities that made the original fairy tale so beloved. The contrast between the two approaches has fueled a narrative of rivalry, with fans increasingly drawing comparisons between the two actresses and their respective takes on the role. Rachel's struggles haven't ended there. The backlash has been so intense that she had to publicly plead with people on social media to stop sending hate over her portrayal of Snow White. Many believe the vitriol she's receiving is a direct result of her controversial remarks, which have alienated a portion of the fan base who feel protective of the original film. In one particularly emotional moment, Rachel nearly broke down in tears during an interview, describing just how difficult the backlash has been for her. It's clear that the criticism has taken a toll, as she opened up about how difficult it is to face such hostility, especially over a role that she initially took on with pride and excitement. For Rachel, the challenge has been balancing her personal interpretation of the character with the expectations of a passionate fan base that views Snow White as sacred. Her decision to approach the role with a more modern perspective, while appreciated by some, has alienated others who feel that the story should remain true to its original form. On the other hand, Brett Cooper's version has been embraced by those looking for a more traditional adaptation, further intensifying the comparisons between the two actresses and their respective films. In the end, Disney's Snow White live-action remake is facing a challenge on two fronts: the ongoing backlash over the modernized portrayal of the characters and the unexpected competition from the Daily Wire's rival adaptation. As the media continues to pit Rachel Zegler and Brett Cooper against each other, the debate over what Snow White should represent in the modern era rages on. The pressure on both actresses is immense, with each representing a different vision of the fairy tale's legacy. Whether Disney's version can overcome the backlash remains to be seen, but for now, the conversation surrounding Snow White shows no signs of slowing down.
It's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
However, with the publication of Disney's Snow White trailer, Rachel found herself embroiled in even more controversy, as if the backlash to her performance wasn't enough. Soon after thanking viewers for viewing the preview, Rachel added a comment to her tweet, which further escalated the situation. This remark, which some took to be intended at her co-star Gallardo, heightened tension in the already tense situation. The two actresses are allegedly at odds over the conflict. Neither of them has remained silent about it, and the one who has openly backed the other nation has come under fire from boycott calls from those who disagree with her position. This controversy could have a bigger effect on Disney's film, because some fans, despite their love for Rachel, they could not support the film because of Gallardo's participation, which stands in sharp contrast. Snow White. Directed by Brett Cooper, has not been affected by any of this turmoil. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, don't forget to check out my other videos for more updates. After allowing it to flourish without controversy, fans are praising Brett for her respectful yet modern take on the beloved fairy tale. Now, fans are left wondering if Disney can salvage its film, as many signs point to a potential box office failure. Will the Daily Wire adaptation manage to outperform Disney's? Only time will tell.